What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got for you a very serious Reddit story, and I'm gonna give you guys a warning right off the bat that this story involves a lot of events and themes that are probably very triggering for a lot of you. So just word of warning, I'll get into a more specific warning in just a bit when we get into the story, but yeah, you've been warned. This might not be the story for you if you are sensitive to those sort of things. However, I do think it's a very important story, and as we progress throughout this, get through the updates, you will see just how serious this is and how important a story like this probably is as well, just for people to know about and see that this sort of stuff can and does happen and how it affects people. But yeah, a very severe story. Without further ado, prepare yourselves for this one. It's tough. Am I the jerk for calling my husband a disgrace after he said my miscarriage ruined his birthday? The original post here was posted on April the 18th, 2025. And there's an obvious trigger warning throughout this of loss, miscarriage, but also abuse, attempted murder, and also unaliving too. So you've been warned. This obviously is going to be a pretty challenging listen. I miscarried yesterday afternoon at about 12 p.m. I've never had a miscarriage before, and this baby was so wished for, so it's all so fresh, and I'm sobbing right now. So I apologize in advance if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. My husband turned 27 yesterday. I, a 26-year-old woman, was pregnant with mine and my husband's second child. Yesterday, I was 8 weeks pregnant. The day before yesterday, we saw a beautiful heartbeat flicking on the screen, and today, I'm devastated. I was playing with our 2-year-old when I felt a pressure in my lower abdomen. Not long later, I noticed bleeding, and I let my husband know immediately that I had discomfort and bleeding. Before long, I had passed what I believe is the fetus, and I messaged him, "I think I lost the baby." I wanted to keep him updated, and I guess I was seeking some kind of emotional support. I asked if he could come home, and he said, "Of course, if it's urgent." I said, "I think it is, because the pain and bleeding is getting worse, and I'm starting to feel lightheaded, and our 2-year-old is unattended in his playroom right now. We have no friends or family near that I could call who would get to us quicker than he could." I had to clean myself up, crawl downstairs to take paracetamol, make my son his lunch, and then put him down for a nap. At this point, my husband still isn't home. He was working approximately 30 minutes away and took closer to 60 to get back. Hours later, when I asked, it was because he'd stopped at Tesco to pick up some beers. I ended up very poorly, losing lots of blood, lightheaded, vomiting, etc., and he had to take me to A&E. By the time I was discharged, it was almost 8 p.m. Last week, I had said I'd make him his favourite dinner for his birthday, which he reminded me when we were almost home. I said I wasn't feeling up to it and that whatever takeaway he wants is on me. He said, "For F's sake," under his breath, and then muttered something along the lines of, "This BS has ruined my birthday." He didn't stop to get any takeaway, he just drove straight home. He put our son to bed and I went to bed, and I'm not sure what he did after. I didn't see him this morning as he'd already left for work. He's not messaged me all day and he got home a few hours ago. It's now 8:40 p.m. and he's been giving me silent treatment. I tried to speak to him about an hour ago, but he ignored me and I called him a disgrace. He slammed the bedroom door and locked me out of the bedroom. His mum has since messaged me and said I needed to be patient as he's also had a loss. She didn't ask me how I was though or anything. He's obviously speaking to his mum, but why isn't he opening up and speaking to me? She said that I was being harsh. I'm feeling utterly emotionally neglected right now. My body has been through emotional and physical hell. I understand that my miscarriage came at a frickin' inconvenient time for him, as it was his birthday and all. I'm not sure if it's the hormones making me feel crazy, but is it nuts to contemplate divorce? Am I the jerk for calling him a disgrace? Absolutely not, and I think a divorce is the only solution. What have I just read? Okay, so there is some more information in the comments down below of this first post, which we'll get into right now. First of all, OP clarifies, off topic, I am on annual leave and return to work on Monday. I've already told a handful of my close co-workers that I am pregnant. I've got no idea how to navigate this. What's the best way to tell people that I'm no longer pregnant? Do I just say? Do I wait for them to ask? I feel so stupid for telling people so soon, so I've put myself in this position. What's the least awkward way to address it so that there are absolutely no follow-up questions? I don't want to discuss it any more than I have to because I just keep breaking down. Thanks. Somebody replied to this saying, you tell the person you're closest to spread the news for you and tell them to make it clear you don't want to talk about it. Yeah, that is very good advice. Somebody else commented, go to your doctor and get signed off. I haven't personally been in your situation, but I had a close friend who went through similar. Her doctor offered her 2 weeks initial certificate and more if she needed it. She ended up wanting to go back earlier, but he said it was her choice. Definitely take some time to yourself. You've gone through a massive trauma and need time before you have to face work. As for your husband, you're definitely not the jerk. If I could, I'd use much stronger language than you did. Both he and his mother should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I know you said you have no family close by, but is there anyone you and your son can go to stay with for a while who will give you the love and support you deserve? OP actually replied to this saying, are you in the UK? I'm in England and my doctor's surgery is closed until Tuesday because of the bank holiday weekend. Do you know if out of hours GPs are able to sign me off work? My work involves closely monitoring new members of staff, assessing them and signing them off to work independently. I need to be able to focus completely as there is no room for error and be smiley and friendly. I don't think I'm able to do this right now, but I'm not sure how to get signed off as I'm back in work on Monday. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Surely you just call your boss and tell them and take it from there, right? Now, the top comment on all of this was this. Importance. You are still at risk of infection at this juncture. It's still dangerous for you. Monitor your bleeding and temperature. Your marriage is over. How long you stay with him is up to you, but this man is neither husband nor father material. He cares more about his wants than your or your child's needs. It took a crisis like this to show who he really is. You're not the jerk, and I'm so sorry you're going through all of this. OP then continued to ask a few more health-related questions, just checking to see if the people of Reddit thought she was all right. She has a fever as well, tonsillitis, so that is not really helping because you can't tell if the fever is from the tonsillitis or obviously due to the miscarriage. But yeah, she said a few hours later that she's going to go in to A&E for peace of mind. Thank you guys for your advice. I'll try to respond to the comments in regards to my husband when I'm feeling better and have recovered. It's just been a hellish day and a half. Exactly. Terrible day, but the most important thing right now is to make sure that in a health sense, you are okay. Now, just for sort of proof that this happened, I suppose. Well, I don't know if it's, I mean, do we need proof this happened? No, but OP has anyway posted these screenshots. If you're not in the UK, you won't know what this is, but if you're in the UK, you'll know how legit this is. This is the NHS's app, and everyone sort of has an account, I suppose. I mean, I've got one on my phone as well, and this is sort of like the online database to show what is going on with you right now, any prescriptions, any future appointments you have, any health conditions like you can see on screen right now, and yeah, as you can see, threatened miscarriage, morning sickness, etc., is on there, and then documents as well, such as referrals or any other thing. I'm having an MRI quite soon on my shoulder. That's going to be in this app, well, on my profile. But yes, very legit stuff. Not that it needed to be, but yeah, this obviously definitely happened. Now, just 2 days later, OP actually left a mini update in the comments of her first post saying this. I'm not sure how to do an update or if anyone will see this, but I've left my husband. Me and my son are staying with family and we're safe. I have another scan tomorrow morning to make sure I've passed everything successfully. Thank you to everyone who had reached out and offered advice. It's been really helpful. And I started antibiotics for my tonsillitis on Saturday, and I'm already feeling much better. Well, that is good to hear. And I agree with your decision. I think he has to go. That reaction is just absolutely insane. Okay, and then on the 23rd of April, 5 days after the original post, we got a proper update. I should have clarified in my original post from last week that the way my husband responded was completely out of character for him. He's usually a caring and supportive man and is a good husband and father. Yeah, that's a good point, because I was kind of thinking, well, you have a 2-year-old with this man and you're like, can you come home? Like, as in, you know, you're not split up or anything. It seemed okay, but But then this, crazy. The only incident where he's shown any kind of red flags was when I put together an accent chair. I used a screwdriver to attach the legs to the seat. And when he came home from work and saw that I'd done it myself, he jumped on it until it broke to show that I didn't do it properly and that I should have waited for him to come home. He'd been under lots of stress at work, so I asked him to go to therapy, which he did, instead of pulling the divorce card straight away. We've been together for 7 years in May, and he's the only partner I've ever known. My family all love him and have accepted him from day one. Okay, that is a massive red flag. Like, that is just such a weird thing to have done, and it makes me think that there are actually loads of other smaller red flags that he's probably shown that you may not have picked up on or didn't think were that bad. Like, destroying something that your partner's done just because you should have waited for them. That's insane. Anyway, OP continues. I also should have clarified, yes, I know he was a jerk in this scenario. I wasn't questioning that. What I was questioning was whether I took it a step too far, calling him a disgrace. You didn't, by the way. He's going through a lot at work at the moment. It was his birthday. I've been messaging him and telling him that I'd miscarried his child and he had to leave work early. And then I called him a disgrace after he'd taken me to the hospital and was responding to the grief in his own way. I think the majority of people said that I wasn't the jerk in this scenario, and due to his behaviour, my insult was justified. Thank you to everyone who reached out, checked in, offered condolences and emotional support. I've read all my messages and tried to read most of the comments. Most of them have been very kind and useful and have helped a lot over the past few days. I had a scan yesterday which confirmed that everything has passed successfully. Some people may remember that I was very worried about retained tissue due to my fever over the weekend. Also, my tonsillitis has fully cleared up, so I'm feeling almost back to normal physically. I left my husband. Me and my son are staying with family in a different part of the country, so we're safe and managing. My husband did get very angry when I told him I was leaving him. He tried to stop me from leaving with our son, put hands on me, and threatened to end his life. My mum intervened, and like I said, we're safe. I have some time off work now, so I'll continue to take time to recover emotionally and plan my next steps. Thank you if you've read this far. I doubt there will be any more updates after this. Well, just so you know, there is one more, and it actually comes just a week before I'm recording this on the 9th of June. Before we get into that though, first of all, some comments. Somebody said, I'm glad you left him, but I'm concerned you'll go back based on how this post is written. You're still speaking about him like he's a good husband, and you're justifying his behavior. Stop doing that. Make a therapy appointment for yourself. OP said, yeah, but he's not here to defend himself, so I'm trying to make it as fair as possible from both sides, so he's not made out to be a monster. I have a therapy session booked. I will not be returning to him as he's not someone that I want my son to grow up watching and witness that behavior thinking it's normal. Somebody else sort of added to this, saying, I'm not going to lie, I had no idea where this post was going. It seemed like you defended his behavior, then you dropped the chair incident on us, then you continued to defend him. By the last paragraph, honestly, I felt like I'd whiplash. Regardless, I'm happy you're away from him and you're safe because he's definitely not a good person. Stressed or not, that's not how sane people conduct themselves. Please do not let him guilt you into going back to him. He is dangerous. And I think that is the main point, right? Stressed or not, going through grief, going through shock, whatever, there's reactions and then there's reactions. And smashing up a chair is just insane. And also saying, oh, it's my birthday, you've ruined my birthday because you've had a miscarriage is also insane. Also, why do you care about your birthday that much when you're an adult? It's just sort of weird. Like, grow up, you're not 2. Actually, I just realized your husband turned 27 yesterday when you wrote this on April the 18th. So your husband's birthday is on April the 17th, which funnily enough is my sister's birthday. My birthday, my 27th birthday, is in 3 days at the time of recording, the 12th of June. And I know that if my non-existent partner has a miscarriage on that day, oh boy, there'll be trouble. Anyway, OP replied to the comment saying, sorry, I'd like to say that I'm feeling better emotionally, but I'm not. I've kind of just word vomited like it's a diary entry in a sense. I'm going to start journaling from now so that I'm not just rambling to a load of strangers. Well, you know, sometimes rambling is the best way, and people that use Reddit as their sort of journal, I gotta respect it. Finally, somebody else asked this, and I think this is an interesting thought really. I'm curious why people do stuff like breaking other people's things. I had made something 3D printed, and a coworker said to me, it looks flimsy. Then they took it somewhere I couldn't see and smashed it with a hammer. Like, it was beyond a reasonable thing that would ever happen. In that moment, she had a narcissistic demand that I somehow upstaged her, so she smashed my stuff out of jealousy. It baffles me. It was literally just like your husband did, doing something intentionally beyond its normal use to begin with to intentionally destroy it. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, who's going to jump up and down loads as an adult on a seat, on a chair? Odd. I read your post twice, and I think your husband is having a mental breakdown from work and has developed a narcissistic personality disorder, probably from the stress. Maybe we're just not hearing the whole story here and he's just actually like that and always has been. OP has said to this, I was thinking maybe he was having some kind of mental breakdown and our miscarriage was the final straw. He said that when he stopped at Tesco to get some beers, it was for the both of us, so we could drink our sorrows away. I was planning on getting him some help because he clearly needs it. He only acts insane when he's under immense pressure at work, genuinely. When he broke my chair, it was around the time of immense stress at work. Yeah, fine, you can be really stressed, but you don't break something that your partner's done. Again, there are like limits. But when he put his hands on me, he actually put his hands around my neck and was choking me, which is what is terrifying. Okay, yeah, now the whole thing comes out. I can't look at him the same, so I can't be the one to get him the help. I'm looking into full custody and solicitors so that I never have to see him again. That is disgusting. Okay, and now for the final update. This was posted, as I said, on June the 2nd. That is 6 weeks after the original post and just a week ago at the time of recording. OP said this: I need to start this off by asking that if anyone takes the time to comment on this, please do not leave negativity or insults, as I'm extremely emotionally vulnerable and I truly feel terrible. When I updated about 5 weeks ago, I didn't think I'd have to make another update, but in short, I'd left my husband and he'd forcibly tried to keep me in the house by putting his hands around my neck. It was really frightening and in that moment made me feel completely confident in my decision to leave. Since that day, I haven't had any contact with my husband. As I was leaving, he was screaming that he'd unalive himself if I left. It's not the first time he's threatened this in our relationship, but I called his mum once I was in the car to let her know. She said she'd go over to see him and I didn't hear from her for another week or so. Oh my God. About 2 weeks ago, my husband was found dead in our family home. I'm angry, hurt, devastated, relieved, and most of all guilty. I feel so guilty that he's dead. If I hadn't have left, I'm certain he'd still be alive, but I can't be certain that I would be or that our son would be. I don't know how much sense I'm making. I just know that there were some people worried for mine and my son's safety. Please be kind. Please reach out to loved ones or your local services if you're struggling. Wow. Well, that concludes a ridiculously sad story. I mean, what the flip? I actually do kind of get what you're saying, OP, at the end. Initially, when I read that, I thought, what, relieved? Really, that your husband's unalived himself? But I get what you're saying because, yeah, he would probably still be alive if you hadn't have left. But as you say, would you or your son be? Somebody actually left a comment down below saying, I know somebody who was being abused by her husband. One day, she had a bad feeling, got her kids and went to stay with someone she knew. It turns out the husband had made some sort of barricade and was going to kill her when she came home. When she didn't come home, he unalived himself. And this commenter says this is exactly the kind of stuff that probably happened here, which is just terrifying. Wow, that might be the most sort of shocked or taken aback I've ever been reading one of these posts. I just didn't expect that. It was already a pretty devastating story, got even more devastating. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave it here for this one. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about it. As always, your comments are great and I welcome them. Let me know as well in terms of this sort of story. Do you want to see more like this? This is on the limit. And to be fair, I didn't know it was going to have this sort of ending. as you guys probably know, and as I say quite often, I never really want to read ahead in a story or like check it, because it ruins it for me as well. And I think that my sort of narration, reaction, and storytelling is better when I don't know, like you guys don't know, what is going to happen in the story. But yeah, if this was a bit too much, I apologize, and let me know in the comments if you want it toned down in future. But wow, what a story. I'll catch you on the next one.